Yes, hello. Now, working with children to address any behaviours that they may have seen and challenge any learnt behaviours, Reconnect support those children in an effort to allow them to grow up in a safe and secure way, as well as having a future loving and intimate relationships in adult life. Joining us here today in the studio, I am joined by Norma Sugrue. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
Whew. Norma's here from Reconnect to tell us a little bit more about all the work that you guys get up to. So first things first, thank you for coming into the studio today.
You're welcome.
And joining us. So let's start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Let's break it down into the basics. As someone, you work within the Reconnect programme. Can you tell us what is Reconnect?
Reconnect is a recovery program for children aged between 8 to 18 who have witnessed or experienced domestic abuse within Cornwall.
Right, okay.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, and what does that involve? So obviously the Reconnect programme is there to support these children that have been through that. What type of support is out there?
The recovery program, depending on their age, if they're somewhere between 8 to 12, they will do an 8-week program. Say 13 to 18, they'll do a 12-week program, and we will meet each week for 1 hour a week and look at various topics to help with their recovery. It's not therapeutic, it's more a practical set of skills which they can use throughout their lives, basically.
Fantastic.
It can be a little bit bespoke, it can be needs-led, depending. Of course, if a child or a teenager turns up to the programme and something has gone on in their life, in school or at home, we will support them with that.
Yeah.
It can be needs-led. But there is a model that we do follow.
Okay.
It's CBT based, even though it's not therapeutic, it is CBT based.
That's the thing, I suppose you don't always know
Exactly.
who's going to come through the door and what experiences they've been through in the past.
Yeah, they can come with a lot of issues. For example, if they're going through the court system and they're having issues around contact, if they're having issues in school with behaviour and bullying, relationships at home where there's a breakdown, we will look at that and we will support them as best we can.
Fantastic, and that's all happening here around us, right on our doorsteps in Cornwall.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you how we deliver it?
Yeah.
So basically, we because we're quite busy, which is great, really. But to manage that, we have a junior and a senior program, which is run throughout Cornwall in each locality, from Penzance right up to the east of the county. The juniors will be run early afternoon and the seniors will be after school, so that the seniors we expect them to try and get to the programmes themselves. Okay. They will be run from family hubs.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, it can be an hour, but for the older ones it can be an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Right.
And they will each, 8 weeks for the juniors and 12 weeks for the seniors.
Okay.
That's our target time.
Okay. Because I was going to say, I wonder sort of how it is provided, because is it in schools or is it online, or if you're going to say you're going to people's houses as well?
No, we don't do home visits. No home visits. No. So it's family hubs.
Oh, family hubs. Sorry.
And we also deliver it online.
Amazing.
Thank you for saying that, because we do deliver it online.
I think it's the accent. I heard hubs as homes.
Did you?
And I was like,
No, it's online. We will bend the rules if we have a young person who's been diagnosed with anxiety or depression. We will meet with them in school one-to-one, face-to-face.
Right.
But otherwise, it is small groups, no more than 5.
Right.
We keep them quite small, all age appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose, especially over the last couple of years in particular as well, with the pandemic and everything, the importance of online, it's opened up new doors and enabled you to carry on this support, hasn't it?
Yeah. We're trying to look at every aspect, really.
Yeah.
In delivery.
A lot of people prefer an online. A lot of people prefer face-to-face, actually meeting and chatting, don't they?
If it is online, I will aim to meet them possibly 2 times through the programmes, just to check in with them.
Right.
Face-to-face.
Okay. And is that what your job role entails? I believe your official title is Senior Children
Yeah.
and Young People's Outreach
Yeah.
Worker. So
Yeah.
is that what your physical
My role
role
is, so I manage a small team.
Right.
And and like I said, we're throughout Cornwall. We're right up through the whole of the county. Yeah.
So really getting out there and,
Yeah.
and providing that support.
It's a fantastic service.
Okay.
If I can say so myself.
I mean, you have. I mean, we have to. That's what we're
Yeah.
here for, and it sounds absolutely brilliant because I presume the support is needed.
Yeah.
Out there, there is a demand for it.
Yeah.
Have you seen that demand rise?
It grew through lockdown, and it's adapted to meet those needs. Bernard is, we work really closely. We're a really close team, and we're very supportive of each other. And it has grown and adapted and become flexible, and to meet the needs of those children and young people. The older ones can refer in themselves, 16 upwards. I meant to say that as well. If I can talk about the referral process. And how it has grown and adapted is we do work closely with the agencies that refer in.
Okay.
So a 16-year-old can refer in obviously themselves, but we do get a lot of referrals from social workers, family workers, school, health. It's a popular service, and it's grown, and we've become well known. So we get a lot of referrals in from all of those agencies that support families. And we can work alongside those agencies to support those families as well, and attend meetings. We have started attending a lot of meetings, and we work closely with pastoral supports in schools.
Right.
And through lockdown as well, the family support side of it has grown. So we have supported families to support their children.
That's really important, isn't it?
Also, I might mention as well, we have the Respect programme, which has grown again from lockdown, and it is supporting families where there's violence from child to parent.
Okay.
So we would work with the child and the parent, or the teenager and the parent. There would be two workers delivering that programme, because you would be together in the beginning and then you would separate.
Right.
And work with your individual workers and then come back again.
Okay.
That's a 12-week programme. It's kind of new.
Okay.
We've had one family and there's another family ready to go. So yeah, we work closely with other agencies, I wanted to say that, and schools, and yeah, we do attend meetings. And it's almost like we're not, Bernards have an advocate service and we're not, but we almost are. We will support the child to remove those barriers, so to speak.
Right.
So that they can go on and form their own healthy relationships. And however that barrier looks, we will work closely with them and that family.
I think it's just so important because to have these systems in place, you don't often, I know, like, I'm thinking back when I was in school and years ago, you don't often hear about these external support services that are available, and it's amazing to see how far we've come. I think with the awareness of mental health and different situations of home life.
Yeah.
It's amazing that you can able to provide that support.
Yeah. Would you like to hear about how the programme is?
Yeah, this is your opportunity to promote. So.
Because the questions you're saying is triggering stuff in my head. I said it's bespoke because something you said there just reminded me of that. However, there is a model, and what the model will look like is we will teach them how to manage difficult feelings.
Right. And
within the classroom and at home, and look at the overarching model, how it's adapted is I look at problem solving a lot.
Okay.
So sitting with those feelings, what do those feelings feel like? Why am I having these feelings? Taking time out and then problem solving it. Who do I need to turn to? Who's my trusted adult? Can I manage it myself? Looking at strategies, looking at symptoms of my body, what's happening, what's happening in my stomach, what's happening with my breathing, and not being afraid of those big feelings, because I think a lot of young people, life is so fast with social media, they're afraid of those feelings. So they learn that feelings move, and with time you'll be okay again. You'll come back down to earth. The part where we work closely with the family is it's really important that for a child to recover from domestic abuse, they need to have a stable home life, and that needs to be settled. So we will work with families to be that young person's spokesperson, so to speak, in the family, going, this needs to settle, they need to feel stable, they need to feel safe. That we look at boundaries, we look at flexibility, communication is huge as well. With mum, with school and with young person, all working from the same page. So we look at learning to be assertive rather than aggressive or passive, and that's when they're safe to find their voice.
Right.
So if they're seeing the abusive parent still, for whatever reason, it's all about safety, and it's about remaining passive.
Absolutely.
So we do a lot of safeguarding, and we do a lot of staying safe at home, in school and out in the environment. So we look at feelings, we look at their rights as a human being, but they're also their responsibilities as a human being. We look at problem solving as massive. We look at healthy relationships, that's huge, and how to communicate. That's the main ethos of it.
In a nutshell, yeah.
But it, again, like I said, we can look at various things as well.
And you touched on that problem solving there, and I think that's such an important thing to mention, because as important as it is, just sometimes having someone to talk to and have that support is important, but also the problem solving aspect of actually moving forward, what we're going to do here, or what resources are available to support. So it's nice that you also provide that sort of signposting and next stage, isn't it?
And having that safe space and just validating their feelings. You're allowed to feel those feelings. You're allowed to be confused about your parents' behaviour.
Yeah.
It is confused. You're allowed to love them, and you're allowed to be confused. And so having someone to talk through those feelings in a safe space and to validate their feelings is huge, and it just removes that pressure. Also, the other thing is saying to their main caregiver, just allowing them to, it's gone from my head now, but just when I said about validating the feelings, just allowing them, so when they have that stable home life, it has to remain a child-friendly home for them. So we would challenge a parent who's putting all the adult stuff on top of that child's shoulders. They haven't got those skills to manage those adult world stuff. So in a nutshell, it's like, let them be 11, let them be 12, because they need to remain like that at that age, because appropriate to that age. Otherwise, they'll end up with anxiety.
Yeah.
And we don't want that.
No, and it's such a crucial age as well.
Yeah.
The school, the development of not just the mind, the body, it's puberty, and it's
absolutely
everything. It's a crucial stage, isn't it, of anyone's life. But
absolutely. And so allowing them that space to be a child and growing at their own pace is huge in their recovery as well.
Yeah. Okay, so if I was to ask you, why would you recommend Reconnect? What would you say?
It's like you said, it's giving them that safe space once a week for an hour a week, but also their worker will have their back and be their spokesperson for them to aid their recovery, so that they can move on, recover from it and move on. And children are really resilient if they have that trusted adult and that safe space and allowed to be their age. They can recover from that and to move on and form their own healthy relationships, in a nutshell. And go on and have a quality of life, in a nutshell. Basically, that is what Reconnect's about. And the feedback we've got from children and young people is they're believed. One which stands out to me is a young person said to me, from completing the Reconnect recovery program, she realises she's good enough, which I thought was lovely. And they're believed as well. And as soon as they walk through that room, they're believed. And it's their safe space, and just having that alone is huge for them.
Yeah, and that must be lovely for you as well to hear that your work is really making a difference to someone's life.
It's a very worthwhile job, I love it.
Yeah, amazing. Just remind me as well, and we've touched a little bit on the age ranges and that, but who is eligible for the programme? Are there specific ages?
8 to 18.
8 to 18.
What we're doing as well now for the 15-year-olds, we're offering them the Healthy Foundation programme, which is looking at healthy relationships in a nutshell. So that's also on offer. Reconnect is adapting and growing to to meet the needs. It's great. We're
Yeah.
we're getting out there.
You absolutely are. And we should just mention as well that I believe the Reconnect is being provided through Bernardo's.
Safer Futures.
Safer Futures.
Yeah, and you can look on their website. All the information is there. You can look under recovery programs. Everything is there for the adults, and the Change for You programs, which I believe my colleague is going to talk to you about at some stage.
Yeah.
And the referral process and the helpline number, the 0300 777 4777 number.
Good memory. Very good memory.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is a helpline, and
Yeah.
like Norma said,
And the website.
and we've got it here on the screen as well for anybody who needs that support. And there's lots of information on the website. And yeah, the helpline is there for people who need it.
Yep.
Information about the referrals as well, and how people get onto the Reconnect program. I know you said some of the older kids can refer themselves, but for the younger ones, how does that
Parent, school, health, social worker, family worker, any agencies that support that family can refer in, or the parent can refer in.
Right.
And the school.
And the school.
Yeah.
And we touched a little bit on it about the feedback as well, because that's one of the most important things, isn't it? If you want to hear how the program's working, to see if you're covering all the areas, and you want to hear that positive feedback. And I believe as we chat now, there'll be some images on the screen of some client quotes from the program.
There it is,
we'll
my fave.
As we flick through them, I won't read them all, but you can see here, like, I've learned that I am good enough, which is such a empowering statement, isn't it? But for you, as a worker in your job role, it must be so rewarding to actually hear that you're making such a difference.
Yeah.
Isn't it? I have more respect for myself, allowing me to have more control over my life and to be assertive. And like we said, isn't it? These are young kids that just want to live a kid's life.
They do, yeah. And some of them want to continue having their relationship with both parents, however that looks.
Yeah.
And we will support them too, that once they're safe, you know.
Yeah.
And having someone to talk through their confusing feelings. Like I said, we're not therapists or counsellors, but we're trauma informed, and we will listen and allow them that space to talk through whatever they need to talk through.
Yeah. And you talked about the importance of, like, relationships, that's being one of the main subjects that you cover. It is a huge subject for anyone, isn't it? Even at our age, you know, relationships are a tricky subject to manoeuvre. I imagine when you're very young as well, it's even more confusing or harder to understand. How do you sort of navigate that?
I think so. When I have worked with parents who say, for example, I'm just going to give you an example. A child is going to see, just say the father is the abusive parent.
Yeah.
That parent, but it's within the safeguarding realms, you know. It's good enough parenting. It's been assessed and it's good enough. But there isn't boundaries there. That child's allowed to stay awake however long it wants.
Right.
There isn't vegetables, it's McDonald's. That child's listening to their father talking negatively about their mum all the time. And that child then becomes full of anxiety, but loves that dad, loves their dad and wants to see their dad. And then goes home and kicks off basically with mum because it's safe. And there's a lot of negativity in that home, and mum will ask me, how am I going to best support my child?
Yeah.
And all I can say is, if there's court order in place and mum has to adhere to that, which is happening a lot, you have to provide that stable home life. You have to be that loving parent, that nurturing parent. But there's boundaries there. You have to go to bed on time. You have to eat your vegetables. You have to do your homework. And there is a foundation of love and trust between mum and that child. That child will eventually vote with their feet, it's called.
Right.
And decide, when I'm at my dad's or mum's, whatever the abusive parent, when I feel really anxious and uptight and unhappy, but when I'm at mum's, I'm comfortable, I'm safe, I'm secure. I feel mum never talks badly about dad. Mum, my home life here is really comfortable and calming.
Yeah.
And I'm made to go to school because I know I need to go to school. We do part of the program called Fantasy Parent versus Reality Parent. Children are very clever. They know what feels right. They can feel it within themselves. and they know that they have to go to school, they know they have to go to bed, and they have to eat vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they eventually make that decision themselves where I feel best comfortable and safe and secure. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's almost like recognising the triggers as well,
Yeah.
isn't it? As the process goes on, the more you talk about it, the more you open up,
Yeah.
the more sometimes it just takes you to have the conversations to
Yes.
actually realise that actually that specific behaviour or that specific parent does trigger certain
Yes.
feelings.
Yes. Yes. And we would never put words into that child's mouth.
No.
They may want to just discuss it themselves through the programme, and in that safe space, by like fancy parent versus reality parent. It brings up those subjects themselves, and it can be quite painful, but it's safe.
Yeah.
And we would always be careful never ever to trigger
Yeah.
as well. The other thing I was meant to say to you, the overarching as well as problem solving and managing difficult feelings, it's self-esteem work.
Right.
We do a lot of self-esteem work. How do you feel? What are you proud of? Looking at qualities as well. Because a lot of the time the children come to the programme and teenagers with very low self-esteem and having issues with forming relationships, with friendships, and staying within relationships in school because of what they've witnessed.
I suppose if you are surrounded by that negativity
Yeah.
24/7, it's often hard to get out of that
Yeah.
slump as such. So
Yeah.
self-esteem, again, it's such an important,
Yeah,
but
it's huge.
simple things that we can tweak and,
Yeah.
and change views and thoughts and things.
And that brings me to sometimes in school that child may present as a naughty child and get labelled a naughty child when they're not. They're a victim of
Yeah.
domestic abuse in their own right.
Yeah.
So they may be still in fight or flight mode themselves, and they may be triggered by loud bangs in school, or they can't regulate their emotions because they've never been shown. So we would work alongside schools to help them with that. So once everyone's on that same page for that child or young person, they will recover because of their it'll bring their resilience up because their self-esteem is raised. So it's the whole programme, and everyone needs to come together.
Yes. That's almost like highlighting the importance of schools are
Yeah.
a safeguarding environment as
Massive.
well. Children spend a lot of time
Time in
there,
schools,
and
yeah.
it's important for teachers
Yeah.
and staff and other
Yeah.
students to be aware of those behaviour changes,
Yeah.
because it's important not to judge a book by its cover,
Absolutely.
because sometimes,
Yeah.
like you said, it's those other things that are going on behind the
Yeah.
scenes that are causing that behaviour.
Yeah, and schools are really good at supporting children with that, because for the juniors they have to leave school for 1 hour over a period of 8 weeks.
Right.
For maybe half an hour they'll miss school. Schools are excellent because it's well-being and recovery.
Yes.
So schools are very supportive of that.
Fantastic. And on a final note, how can, I know we've mentioned the website already,
Yeah.
but how can people find more information about you guys and the programme?
Yeah, go online and just put in Safer Futures Cornwall and it's all there. And just
All
scroll
there.
down, the recovery programs are all there.
Fantastic.
We do have leaflets.
You do. Scattered around
We
somewhere.
do. I know that I don't know if they've been distributed.
Okay,
Yes.
we'll keep an eye out for them.
But we do have leaflets.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but go on the website.
The
It's
website.
easy, or ring the 0300 number, the helpline.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Norma, thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us
Lovely to meet you.
in the studio here
And
today.
thank you for inviting us.
Anytime. And obviously all the work you guys do with the Reconnect programme, it's so important, and the support.
really
so
is.
I'm just glad we can give a platform for people to
Yeah, thank you.
know about it. Brilliant stuff. Bryna, I'm going to hand back to you.